Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Roxana Janka, and I'm the campaign manager for the Good4U campaign and coalition. I'm happy to share ideas today on how we can help vulnerable students get re-engaged in their education and recover learning losses of a very dramatic school year last year. Today, I'm joined by Justin Wallen, who is an expert in accurately measuring public opinion, and he will discuss some independent polling we commissioned of California parents. And after our brief presentation, we will answer some of your questions. So please use the chat to submit any questions or comments, and we'll address them afterwards. And with that, welcome to Good4U. Thank you for being here. If one good thing came from the pandemic, it's that we saw what doesn't work in education and what students really need. The shift to virtual delivery of education disproportionately affected access, engagement, and academic outcomes for vulnerable youth who were already struggling before the pandemic. A 90% graduation rate sounds like a success, but what about the 10 to 15% who weren't successful? When even one dropout is one too many when you consider the lost potential of each student and the negative impact on their lives. It is critical to keep our most vulnerable students engaged so they do not fall backwards into the dropout cycle. How do we do that? Here's our take on that answer. Education is not a privilege, it's a right, and we need to make sure that all students have the same chance to succeed. We need to teach students in the way that they best learn, and that isn't the same for everyone. So personalized learning is important, and recognizing and treating trauma must be part of the education experience. And we need to prepare students for life beyond high school with job and life skills training. And as we talk more about these ideas, you'll see how they are intertwined and they work off of each other and maximize the benefit and positive impact of the other. Now, the coalition, as I mentioned, commissioned a statewide opinion research conducted prior to the end of the 2021 school year to examine the opinions of California parents with high school age children. So I'm going to turn it to Justin now to discuss that.
Thank you, Roxana. A quick note about the methodology that we employed for this particular research. We interviewed 800 parents of high school age children in California, plus an oversample of 71 additional African-American respondents to equal 100 of that particular demographic. We, of course, administered the survey in both Spanish and English languages, and we spoke to folks on both their landlines and mobile phones. About 78% of the survey was conducted on mobile phones. And a survey of this size yields a margin of error of plus or minus 3.7% with a confidence interval of 90%. So let's talk about numbers a little bit, put them into context. The numbers are going to come up on the screen in a moment, some of the first ones that I'll speak to. But when we are looking at numbers, as pollsters, as researchers, there's kind of a magic number of 65% that lets us know that we have something big. What it means is that generally there's enough mass that you get a large degree of agreement across different demographics, gender or ethnicities or regions throughout California's diverse geography. So the numbers that we're going to talk about today, and if we can pop those first set up now, are enormous. They're all between 80 and a little bit above 90%, which are surprising to say the least. I seldom see numbers like this, and I'll just briefly go through a few of them. The first, we found that 83% of parents say that equity in public high school is important. 91%, fully 9 out of 10 people said it's important to understand the unique challenges that are faced by individual students and provide additional support to overcome them. And not too much of a statistically equal, actually. 89% say it's important to structure school to serve individual students rather than forcing a one-size-fits-all approach. 92% say it's important to ensure students advance from grade to grade based on their competency in the subject matter as opposed to how much time they sit in the classroom. 83% say it's important to deliver personalized learning with life and job skills, practical items to our most vulnerable students. And again, as we go from 92% to 83%, it's important to keep in mind 83% is remarkable. We just don't see numbers like that a lot. So there's a remarkable degree of cohesion here in terms of the response set. And 86% finally say it's important to treat behaviors associated with trauma-induced stress and grief as opportunities, as opposed to discipline cases. And I'll turn this back to you.
Great. Thank you. Great. So parents agree. Parents have bought into this, and it's good because the challenge before us is dramatic. Even if we only focus on the most vulnerable or at-risk students, it's a substantial population. 1.2 million students drop out every year in the United States. Opportunity youth are 16 to 24-year-olds who are not in school and don't have a job, and there are 4.5 million in the United States, and about 500,000 in California alone. These are pre-pandemic numbers. 1 in 4 Americans drop out, 60% of teen moms, 1/4 of kids in poverty. And current headlines tell us that the hundreds of thousands of students will not return to school this year. And those who are going back are suffering dramatic learning loss. And we need to ask ourselves and figure out the answer to how do we help these students succeed? Because if we don't, the downside is substantial. 75% of crimes are committed by dropouts. 31% of dropouts live in poverty. 40% of females give birth before the age of 20. A high school dropout is ineligible for 90% of jobs, and children of dropouts are more likely to drop out, which perpetuates this evil cycle of poverty and struggle and lost potential. So why should we care? Why should you care that all students have the opportunity for a quality education? Because it is good. It's good for students, teachers, housing values, economies, mental health rates, public service costs. Education is not an industry that is confined to itself. It touches all parts of our lives, and so helping every student succeed benefits us all. It's good for you, and it's good for me. And the greater good of education is very clear. It's the key to better jobs for individuals and a stronger economy for all. And we can't take for granted that high school graduates contribute more. They're more likely to vote, less likely to be unemployed, and incarcerated. So we can't take for granted the multiple perpetual benefits of graduating students, especially those who are at risk of dropping out. A personalized education that provides students with life and job skills is the key to ensuring equity, better jobs, and a stronger economy. And the first of our 3 keys to this is equity is essential. Every youth should be able to receive a high school education that best prepares them for life. And to explain that further, it breaks down the specific challenges faced by individual students and provides them personalized support to help them succeed. If you remember from our polling that Justin just shared, 86% of parents agreed we should help address inequalities by keeping kids connected to food, counseling, and technology. For example, about 1 in 5 California students, I think it was 1.2 million, did not have internet access or access to a computer during the pandemic. So how could they possibly continue learning? Students of color and those from rural areas or with traumatic experiences and other challenges or needs experience inequality. And the best way to serve such a disparate student population is through flexibility. And an equitable education helps all students develop the knowledge and skills that they need in a positive and safe learning environment. And no 2 students are alike. And at-risk students face challenges that others simply don't. The best way to serve them is through personalized learning with trauma-informed practices. The more that we can tailor the curriculum and the wraparound services to the individual student, the more engaged they are in their learning. Personalized support may not be available in a traditional classroom that teaches all 30, 35 students the same way. For instance, if a student decides to re-engage in his education and comes to us at 17 with a 5th grade reading level, but loving math, starting with an algebra assignment is a great first step to building confidence and allowing him to experience success and become motivated in his learning. And so then we can build upon that. 86% of parents agree that we should treat behaviors associated with stress and grief as opportunities to teach life skills. We must shift away from treating symptoms of trauma as disciplinary cases. And again, this is an equity issue because we know that students of color and those from low-income households are suspended at higher rates. And one last note about trauma is that we are not just talking about trauma from experiencing homelessness or foster care. We often take for granted that consistent recurring stresses like uncertainty at home, an incarcerated relative, the electricity being shut off can create trauma in a young person. And schools must deliver the focused attention that students need and advance them based on their mastery of the curriculum, not how much time they spend in a seat. This is competency-based learning. And whether or not that is one-on-one instruction or small group learning, free tutoring, curriculum plans should be tailored to the individual student and with a flexible schedule and direct links to community resources, all with social emotional support. It's important to prepare students beyond the diploma and give them a jump start in their future. A quality education should include healthy skills development. And that means job skills training, which 83% of our parents want us to offer to contribute to a skilled workforce. And it also serves a business need that we hear over and over again for better prepared entry-level workers who know how to be professional on the telephone and conduct customer service in a professional way. This includes also soft skills and learning for industry certifications and hands-on experience. Life skills like conflict resolution, anger control, resiliency are important, and students who develop these skills perform better academically and they benefit the rest of their lives. I'm sure that we know a few adults who could benefit from mastering these skills a bit more. So you can see how these 3 ideas that we've shared today are intertwined and they enhance each other and they compound for a greater benefit together. Personalized learning programs are being studied and implemented more across the country, and we're seeing the results of that. There's better student engagement and achievement. Struggling students do better, and teachers can give all students what they need by dedicating one-on-one and small group instruction time within the classroom, especially at the high school level. We believe in the power of teaching individual students in the way that each of them learns best, and we're seeing that it works. So we'd like to invite you to join the discussion and to learn more. Please visit our website, Good4U.com. Here you can join our coalition, sign up for updates, read news about helping students, especially our most vulnerable ones. Please connect with us on social media.